Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Saturday evening, November 16, 2024. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video. I'd really appreciate it if you guys get this video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak months of Atlantic hurricane season, that's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Leave a comment down below, letting me know what the that's been like in your area recently. Also, feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so before we take a look at what's happening across the Atlantic, let us have a look at the Western Pacific Ocean, and we can see the line associated with the sunlight definitely coming up in this side of the world. So it's what, Sunday morning their time now, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so Sunday is coming up. I believe it's what, 7 a.m 8 a.m in Japan, if I'm not mistaken, as we speak, considering the time now in Jamaica, which is actually 7 p.m. So they're 1 day ahead of us. So we can see that we have a hurricane. This is a typhoon. On this side of the globe they call them typhoons, and this is the equivalent of a major hurricane, category 3 to 5 strength. And just for reference, we have the system somewhere right here, well, across the northern portions of the Philippines. We can see Taiwan right here, we can see China right here, and Vietnam. And if we take a closer look, it's definitely quite the formidable typhoon, quite the formidable hurricane with an eye, that classic buzzsaw kind of look, with the central dense overcast around the center of circulation. Look at all the deep convection, the reds, the blacks, the grays, and we can definitely see the high cold cloud tops spreading out. Definitely we can make out that the buzzsaw kind of look to it, and we see the eye, definitely quite a clear eye. We can see down to the sea for sure. Definitely a bad situation about to unfold, as this system is expected to continue towards the northwest and then make landfall over this, and it has already made landfall over this portion of the island. We're going to be looking at that shortly, but we can see the track right here. Most of the models definitely taking it across this island to the northwest and then curving westward, and then possibly making it close to the southern portions of China, and then maybe even making it close to Vietnam. We saw the political map right here, China right here in the green, Vietnam right there in the oranges, and we can see that it's definitely expected to lose its intensity right now, definitely up there in intensity, category 3, and it's expected to definitely decrease the more it pushes towards the northwest and it makes landfall, possibly downgrading back to a tropical storm in the greens, maybe even a depression as it pushes westward and then south of west. And we see that both the Euro Ensemble Spaghetti models and the GFS Ensemble Spaghetti models are in consensus with that forecast. And even the hurricane center that is located over that side of the world that does the forecast for the Western Pacific, that's the Joint Typhoon Warning Center, that's JTWC. This is their official forecast. As of right now, it's packing maximum sustained winds of 120 knots. They use knots over that side of the world, and 120 knots would be somewhere right in here, anywhere from 113 to 136 knots, basically the equivalent of a category 4 hurricane. And as a matter of fact, it was a category 5 before it made landfall on this little island right here. We can definitely see right here, definitely made landfall on one of these islands in the Philippines, and we saw that it definitely lost its circular oomph to it in terms of the eye, and then we saw that as soon as it went back over the sea, it definitely re-strengthened, definitely back to a category 4 now. It's going to be pushing northwestward. I'm pretty sure that within the next couple of days we're going to be seeing a lot of footage coming out of the Philippines, whether it be flooding, damage, whatever the case may be. Hopefully we don't have any loss of life. And we even have footage here from Volcaholic. He's one of the persons on Twitter that if you're not already following them, you need to. He highlighted category 5 Super Typhoon Pepito made landfall at 9:40 p.m. So it definitely made landfall in the night. We can definitely see the bad weather taking place, heavy rainfall, strong winds pushing these trees, definitely down power lines, definitely power outages. This was posted at 9:44 a.m. this morning. They were definitely getting it for sure during Saturday night into early Sunday morning their time. Look at the strong winds blowing all of these poles on the trees. Definitely a bad situation. The system made landfall as a category 5 and it's back now down to a category 4. So hopefully it remains a category 4 or even decreases in intensity, as that is what the Joint Typhoon Warning Center states. It's expected that by the time we get into Sunday, November 17, it should be down to a 100 knots. In terms of intensity, 100 knots is somewhere between 96 and 112 knots right there. So what's category 3? So it's expected to downgrade in intensity the more it inches closer to land. That's a plus side, because boy, we can imagine devastation if it remains category 4 or if it actually re-strengthens to a category 5. And I'll definitely be here to keep you posted on what happens, as well as the footage that comes out within the next 24 hours. Alright, so it's time for us to look at some climatology. We're looking at a nice little graphic right here showing data from 1944 to 2020, and it's basically showing where we've had most of the activity throughout the year. Clearly the peak of hurricane season, September 10, is where the mountain will be the highest, and we're right here in the last couple of days of November, definitely starting to fall off in terms of the amount of activity, in terms of hurricane and tropical storm activity for sure. Right now we still have Sarah in our basin. Hopefully we don't get anything else as we wrap up the season. Trust me, we can get systems forming in December. Hopefully we don't at all. If we take a look right here at the tropical and subtropical cyclone points of origin and tracks based on data from 1851 to 2023, we see that for the time period from November 11 to 20, considering that today is November 16, right here to the south of Jamaica is a hotspot. Look at all of these yellow dots showing where we've had storms form, most of them pushing towards the northwest, northward into the Gulf of Mexico, some of them pushing to the west into Central America, some of them even pushing towards the east. I think that was wrong-way lane right here, pushing towards the Leeward Islands, and we see some of them right here to the north of the Caribbean, to the north of the main development region. So we can still have activity for sure, but this isn't so bad considering that it's November. So we see that for the Novembers from 1851 to 2023, we've had some systems forming, but nothing too drastic. But clearly this area to the south of Jamaica is quite a hot spot, and as such the development area definitely having most of the systems forming right there to the east of Nicaragua, pushing northward. If there's not a ridge of high pressure right there blocking it and sending everything to the west, definitely quite the typical track origins for November in general. And as such it makes sense, especially considering that we have tropical storm Sarah right now, because of the very warm waters that we see here across the Atlantic. This map right here is showing the sea surface temperature anomalies. Look at how warm the waters are still across the Gulf of Mexico, the Caribbean, the main development region, and this is as of November 15th update. This just came out yesterday. Today is November 16, and the waters are still warm. I said it before and I'll say it again, I wouldn't be surprised if we continue to get systems into the month of December. That's if the wind shear doesn't come down and disrupts anything, or that's if we don't get a huge plume of Saharan dust coming into our area. Conditions are still ripe. We still have a lot of warm water, and if this warm water persists into next season, we might just have the 2025 Atlantic hurricane season being just as formidable as the 2024 Atlantic hurricane season. And we can also see that we have the La Nina still coming along nicely. I'm not sure if it has been declared that we have a La Nina yet. Last I heard, it was neutral conditions. We know La Nina is the opposite of El Nino. El Nino is when we have a lot of warm waters across this portion of the area that causes more thunderstorms, more depressions, more storms, more hurricanes to form in the eastern to the central Pacific, and thus causing a lot of wind shear across the Caribbean and tearing the tops of these thunderstorms off, definitely preventing the formation of depressions or storms or hurricanes in our neck of the woods. But it's been in a neutral condition since Beryl, and we've seen what Beryl did, and it's expected to possibly intensify. Let's see if we actually make it into La Nina before all is said and done, and let's see if this La Nina, if it actually forms, spills into the 2025 Atlantic hurricane season. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that it's not only how warm the waters are at the surface, because we know it's the warm water that fuels these systems. Lots of evaporation taking place into the clouds, causing more thunderstorms, causing more of these systems to become depressions and storms. And we see that the ocean heat content is definitely formidable as well. This one also coming out yesterday, November 15. Anything from yellow upward, so into the oranges, the reds, especially around Jamaica, Haiti, around sections of the Yucatan Peninsula to the south of Cuba in general. That's where we have the warmest ocean heat content. This is basically how warm the waters are the deeper into the ocean that we go, because we know that if there's a system that's passing over all of this warm water, it can definitely leave a cold wake. We can definitely see some blues right behind it to show that it has definitely sucked up the warm water. But if the waters are deep at a great depth, like what this map right here is showing, and if the system is continuously churn up all of this warm, sit over that area like what Sierra is doing right now, it's going to be churning up even more warm water and just be getting even stronger, and a cold wake wouldn't even be possible because it's just more warm water coming up to the surface for sure. And we see that there's a lot of warm water still untouched right there to the south of Jamaica, to the west of Jamaica, to the west of the Cayman Islands, to the east of the Yucatan Peninsula for sure. We can see everything being represented by what we see on the key on the bottom. Anything from blues all the way up to the green colors representing, let's say, low ocean heat content. Anything from the yellows all the way up to the reds, high ocean heat content for sure. And clearly we see the area across the central to the western Caribbean having the most in the way of ocean heat content. Alright, so let us take a look at the U.S. National Hurricane Center 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook, and we can see that as of their latest update that just came out at 6:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is about a good 30-35 minutes ago. This just came out. We can see that the only thing that we have across the Atlantic is tropical storm Sierra. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of Sierra before the sun went down, we can definitely make out the clouds. Look at the spin. The system is definitely in here spinning away. Look at all of the thunderstorms rising up out of the land. We're lucky that there's land there, because boy, if it was over much of the sea to the east, the eastern side of these systems are definitely the strongest, there would have been a lot of thunderstorms for sure. You can also make out some thunderstorms to the south of Jamaica associated with a trough that this storm system has induced into our area, which explains the rainfall and the cloudy conditions that we've been having since last night into this morning for sure. We can also make out the sparkling yellow dots that we know represents some amount of lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes. Lots of it right there across sections of southwestern Guatemala as we speak. And if we take a closer look at the image, the infrared satellite images that is, we can definitely make out the thunderstorms. Look at the greens, yellows, oranges, reds, and the blacks within all of those reds Lots of thunderstorms to the north of it, heading into portion of Belize as we speak. Definitely getting on some bad weather there on the coastal areas of the Yucatan Peninsula, Guatemala, sections of Honduras still getting in on some strong weather, some rainfall for sure. But we're indeed glad that it's nothing too significant across Central America right now. In terms of the cloud cover, we don't see the deep convection and the deep reds on land, just this little band right here. Nothing too significant as of right now, but they're definitely still getting in on some steady rainfall regardless of the deep colors and the deep convection. And this is going to be continuing as the system continues to push off towards the northwest into Belize. You can definitely see the ensemble tracks right here, the Euro ensemble spaghetti mouse definitely taking it out into portions of northern Belize across the Yucatan Peninsula. Should be right here across the Gulf of Mexico within the next 2 days. And we see that even the GFS spaghetti model ensembles are in consensus, even although they take it more south of where the Euro has it, more so across the central portions of Belize rather than the northern central or the northern section of the island of the country in general. And in terms of the intensity, we can see that it's supposed to maintain tropical storm intensity for the next at least 12 hours. Then within the next 24 hours, as soon as it makes landfall in Belize, we see that it's going to be losing its intensity for sure, maybe back down to tropical depression status, if not a remnant low, because we know these land areas can definitely disrupt the circulation and definitely cause these systems to dissipate. And as such, the hurricane center has hit, turning back to a depression by 12 p.m. on Sunday, and by 12 a.m. on Monday, I guess that's it for the system. We don't even see it coming back over the sea. We'll see exactly what takes place, because we know that sometimes as soon as they reach back over the sea, they can regenerate. So it's just a watching game or a waiting game at this point. As of right now, the system is packing maximum sustained winds of 45 miles per hour. So it's right in there at category, well, tropical storm status for sure, closer to tropical depression status than to hurricane or category 1 status for sure. Anywhere from 39 to 73 miles per hour winds is tropical storm intensity, and if it's packing maximum sustained winds of 35 miles per hour, it's definitely closer to tropical depression status than hurricane status. And we can see that we still have the tropical storm warnings up for portions of northern Honduras in the blues, as we can see by the key on the bottom. Northeastern Guatemala, tropical storm warnings, and even all of Belize up for a tropical storm warning, as well as portion of the southeastern section right there, that section right there to the north of Belize in general, of the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico, definitely under tropical storm warning as well. And we can see the tropical storm force winds extending out, especially to the north of the system's center of circulation in the gold colors right there. That's where the strongest winds will be located. So expect power outages, down trees, whatever the case may be. It has already been taking place across Honduras, so it's going to be taking place across Belize as well. And we can definitely see the track right here, definitely formed right there to the southwest of Jamaica, and then it pushed towards the west, and then we can see right here that it's back over the water now, even although it was over land just for a brief moment, brushing the coastline of Honduras, and it's expected to push off towards the west-northwest or the northwest. And we see that it definitely did not do that little loop or comeback thing that the models were showing, just to show you that the models aren't 100% set in stone. You have to take these forecasts with a grain of salt, but the models were definitely right for the slow down or the stationary motion, because it was indeed stationary this morning. Stationary meaning that it was not moving, and we saw that it started to move again. As of the latest from the Hurricane Center, it's moving to the west at 5 miles per hour, so it's definitely moving very slowly still. So it's still going to be dumping even more rainfall across the areas right here. Look at the amount of rainfall still to come according to the Hurricane Center's graphic right here. The greens that we know represents the 2 to 4 or the 50 to 100, well, to 100 millimeters of rainfall. The yellow represents the 4 to 6 to 1 or 100 to 150 millimeters of rainfall. Look at the gold colors that represents anywhere from 6 to 8 or 150 to 200 millimeters of rainfall. Look at the orange colors that's going to be plaguing portion of northeastern, or this section right here of Guatemala, northwestern portions of Honduras, that we know represents anywhere from 8 to 12 inches or more. That's basically representing 200 to 300 millimeters of rainfall. Belize is going to be getting a lot of rainfall, 4 to 6 inches. So to portion of the Yucatan Peninsula, El Salvador, section of western Nicaragua for sure, to getting on a lot of rainfall. And we've already had the devastation clips coming out. We saw some yesterday and we still have some more coming out today. Here's one from Volcaholic stating flooding in San Isidro, Quimistan in Honduras today due to tropical storm Sierra. And we can see footage of what looks like a river and a vehicle in that river while somebody seems to be on some kind of a bridge. Boy, look at all of the murky water. A bad situation in general. Hopefully there's nobody in that vehicle at all, because boy, do you see somebody? Boy, I don't even want to see, because I hope that's nobody in that vehicle at all. Alright, so here we have another post here on Twitter. This is from CR Network, and we see basically highlighting the same thing. Tropical Storm Sierra. Not gonna be reading all of this, that's just the gist. Tropical Storm Sierra definitely doing a number on all of these areas. Let us see what it's stating. So we can definitely see the heavy rainfall, the strong winds for sure. Skipping ahead, we see some amount of inundation. We see some bikers right here. Another post right here. We highlighted this one yesterday with the road split in two. Let's skip ahead. We see another one right here highlighting the rainfall across portions of Honduras. People being rescued for sure. Oh, look at this, a dog wading through the water, another person right there. Boy, this is what we feared would happen, and it's definitely happening as we speak. Lots of rainfall causing inundation, persons marooned, persons displaced, lots of flooding taking place. Another clip right here. We still have lots more clips to see. Here we have another one. This looks like a dog carrying what looks like her puppy, if I'm not mistaken. Here we have some more clips right here showing the heavy rainfall with some animals in the back of a pickup truck. Let's move on to another one. Some flooding taking place. Looks to be going over a bridge. This looks similar to what was happening here in Jamaica the other day with Flatbridge. My goodness gracious, look at all of the inundation. They're going to be going through the same situation that Jamaica just went through with the bad roads and the potholes. Some brand new potholes going to be formulating. Here we have another one. Tying ropes, basically rescue operations in general. Here we have somebody, a lady that they're trying to get across. Boy, we expected this. This is what these systems do in general. Here we have another person being rescued. I think it's somebody, if I'm not mistaken, on the back of this person. Yes, I think I see somebody wrapped around the back of this person. Yeah, and they're trying to save this person. Boy, I can't take the suspense. Skip to the end. I think that's another clip. Alright, so there we go. What's gonna be happening? Are they going to be swept away? Yeah, a little. But luckily the people come and help them out. And then I think we had another clip coming in. Another person right there wading through the water. Boy, Jamaica dodged a bullet, because it was what was forecasted. We saw that there was a lot of rainfall coming, but it definitely didn't happen, and we're grateful for that. We didn't want that to happen at all. Lots of flooding in our neck of the woods. This was not anything that any one of us wanted for sure, and we're indeed glad that it didn't turn out like this for us here in Jamaica. We're grateful. Alright, so we're going to be going out to the next one, John 68 hours, to see what Mother Nature has in store for us over the next 7 days. Although there's nothing being highlighted on the Hurricane Center's website, we're just going to be seeing what's coming As we highlighted yesterday, we saw a cold front coming down. Let's see if it's still there. So going out as we head into Sunday. Sunday seems to be definitely drier or less rainfall than the last 24 hours for sure. We see more whites as we even head into Monday. So we're definitely going to be starting to dry out for sure. If not cloud cover, more sunshine than anything else as we head into Tuesday. Wednesday, much of the same. Thursday, much of the same. And then here we have the line, the green moisture associated with the frontal system. That's the cold front coming down. So it should be right there to the west of Jamaica by Friday, November 22. Then coming into portion of Jamaica by Saturday. And then look at what's happening. We start to see an increase in moisture right there to the south of Haiti coming into portion of Jamaica. But I guess we're going too far out. So let's stop it right there. The next one, John, 68 hours. This is valid for Saturday, November 23. So let's stop it right there. So our frontal system is definitely coming. Some rainfall, who knows, maybe some cooler than average temperatures as well. Let us see what the latest GFS model is showing. Alright, so as we go out in time, yes, clearly we see more white. So it's going to be a drier week next week for sure. Sunday to Saturday, we see that it's definitely starting tomorrow, more whites than anything else across Jamaica. Into Monday, definitely hot and dry. Tuesday as well. Wednesday, Thursday, definitely a hot and dry week. But look at that as we head into Friday now. We see the frontal system, the line of showers associated with it in the greens. That represents anywhere from 1 maybe all the way up to 2 inches of rainfall coming in from the west or from the northwest for sure. And then we're just going to be stopping it right there. So both the Euro and the GFS models are definitely showing something. The Euro a bit more robust with the amount of rainfall with the dark greens, yellows and oranges. GFS a bit more reserved with the greens. We see most of the heaviest rainfall off to the southwest of the island, maybe heading into a portion of Honduras and Nicaragua. We'll see exactly what happens with that. Either way, both accumulated precipitation forecast maps are in consensus that it's going to be raining within the next 7 days. This map from the Euro and this map from the GFS clearly show that the most in the way of rainfall should be where we have the dark reds, the purples, the pinks that we know represents anywhere from 2 all the way up to 4 inches of rainfall, and that's definitely possible for areas like the Yucatan Peninsula already being impacted by Sierra, Belize, section of Guatemala, section of Honduras, El Salvador, western Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia, western Venezuela, section of Guyana, section of northeastern Venezuela, Trinidad and Tobago, section of Barbados, into portion of the Leeward Islands, anywhere from Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, southwestward, St. Martin, St. Kitts and Nevis right there. And we see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in consensus with this forecast. I know that when they're in agreement like this, the chances or the certainty definitely higher. In terms of Jamaica, in terms of the close-up of the accumulated precipitation, we can see the GFS a bit more reserved with more blues than anything else within the next 7 days, especially across the east to the western portion of the island. Keep in mind that this map from the GFS and this map from the Euro are both showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until Saturday, November 23. And clearly the GFS has less rainfall than what the Euro is showing. Euro is showing more of these greens into the yellows, even some slight oranges that represent anywhere from 15 all the way up to maybe 60 millimeters of rainfall. The GFS a bit more reserved for sure, but there's still rainfall in the forecast. So although we saw what the rainfall forecast map from the Euro and the GFS were showing more whites than anything else for the next 7 days, that would mean more clear skies, more partly cloudy conditions. So if I were you, this coming week would be the best week to get things outdoor completed. Any plans that you had that you've been wanting to do but haven't been able to do it because of the rainfall, definitely this week, because more than likely as we head into the weekend, next weekend, it's going to be getting a bit more moist in our neck of the woods. So get your plans, well, whatever you have planned, done now. Alright, so let us take a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening. we can see that we have a low pressure area, frontal system right here stretching all the way down into portion of Cuba, the Bahamas right there. You can see another frontal system right here across the northeastern Caribbean, stretching all the way up into the northern portion of North Atlantic. And we see a ridge of high pressure right here to the north that we know is responsible for sending all of the easterly trade winds across the main development region into the Caribbean. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic as the sun is going down, we can definitely make out what's taking place. Let us see. Alright, so we can see the clouds spinning away associated with Sarah. You can definitely even make out the center of circulation somewhere in there. Lots of clouds streaking across from west to east. Lots of upper level wind shear across the basin right now. We can also make out the clouds associated with the frontal system that we highlighted that's currently affecting portion of the Bahamas, Cuba, stretching all the way up into the northern portion of North Atlantic, attached to that low pressure system right there. And we can make out the clouds associated with that other frontal system stretching all the way down into portion of the northeastern Caribbean. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean a little later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Saturday, November 16, 2024. It was stated that parts of some central and western parishes would have received some rainfall last night, that's Friday night, into Saturday morning, and that it would have affected a section of most parishes during Saturday afternoon. But we saw what took place today. It was a mostly cloudy day, and most of the rainfall definitely took place last night into this morning instead. But just for reference, let's refresh our memory. We know that eastern parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey like Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew. Central parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Middlesex like St. Anne, St. Mary, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine. While western parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall like St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, and Trelawney. And let's do the same for our southern and northern parishes. We know southern parishes, we're talking about those parishes like Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine, Kingston, St. Andrew, and St. Thomas. Northern parishes, we're talking about Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, and Portland. Alright, so as expected, it definitely rained last night as the Cuban Doppler radar images were posted right here on our Twitter page. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that these posts aren't only made here on our Twitter page at Weather Jamaica, but they're also made on our Instagram page at Weather.Jamaica, on our TikTok page at Weather Jamaica, and on our Facebook page at Weather Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there as we make posts throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. So we saw that at 2 a.m. the Cuban Doppler radar images were posted, and as you know, we have to be using the Cuban Doppler because the Jamaican Doppler radar has been down for the longest while. Hopefully they get it fixed. But we can definitely make out the greens that represent some moderado, that's moderate rainfall. We can also make out the yellows that represent some fuerte, that's strong or heavy rainfall. At that time, the heavy rainfall was to the north of St. James, Trelawney, and St. Anne. But as the day, as the early morning progressed, some of this definitely is pushed southward into portion of some northern parishes. And we can also make out the moderate rainfall that was definitely plaguing portion of southern St. Elizabeth, southern Manchester, southern Clarendon at the time, so too sections of Portland as well. And then in the morning now, in the, well, not so early morning, we saw at 6:35 a.m. the infrared satellite images were posted highlighting the thunderstorms, and we definitely saw the thunderstorm, the heaviest thunderstorms right there to the southwest of Jamaica. We saw the reds, the blacks, the grays, the sparkling white dots that we know represent some amount of lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes. For reference, we have Jamaica right here, and we saw the upper level winds blowing those clouds off towards the east for sure, bringing most of the weather into portion of Jamaica. But at that time, the rainfall was mainly affecting portions of Hanover, Westmoreland, St. Mary, and Portland. But as the sun definitely came up, we saw that spill into other parishes, St. Catherine, sections of Clarendon for sure. And we definitely have the confirmation from some of our followers about their area. If we take a look here at the post that was made at 11:05 a.m., it highlighted the infrared close-up satellite images of Jamaica, showing that we're still getting on some of the cloud cover. Most of the high cold cloud was pushing from west to east across the island. but we saw that we were still getting on some light rainfall, especially across section of some southern parishes. And we even highlighted the live camera from See Jamaica's YouTube channel showing St. Andrew in general. So it was the multiple cameras showing Barbican at first, and I believe it went to, if I'm not mistaken, Halfway Tree, then Crossroads, then the Port Royal Yacht Club. And we definitely saw that it was mostly cloudy for the most part today. Not much in the way of sunshine. Those persons who did some washing today definitely still have their clothes on the line, because the clothes couldn't have been dried with the lack of sunshine. If you got your clothes dried, you're lucky. I'm not one of the lucky ones. My clothes still wet. But we can definitely see from Barbican to Crossroads, or from Barbican to Halfway Tree, we can see that it was definitely a cloudy day for sure. And even if we come in some more, we can make out the heavy cloud cover that was taking place. Look at that across the carpet here. Look at the thick gray clouds for sure. Not much in the way of sunshine at all. And we can see it all even better from above here on the visible satellite images, showing all of the cloud cover, especially the high cold cloud tops being pushed off towards the east. And before all was said and done, we were getting in some brief thunderstorms across section of Portland, as well as the waters to the southeast of St. Thomas. And if we take a look at the infrared satellite images, we can confirm what we just saw. Some brief thunderstorms right in there across section of Portland before all was said and done with the day. And if we take a look here at See Jamaica's YouTube channel, just to confirm the cloudy conditions at around 217 across Crossroads for sure. And even the accumulated precipitation forecast maps are in consensus that it has been raining across section of the island within the past 24 hours from last night into this morning for sure. This afternoon, mostly some light drizzle, some dew kind of rain fall across the island. Nothing too significant during the afternoon hours, except for that brief thunderstorm burst across section of Portland before the night came down. And we definitely have some confirmation of the rainfall today from some of our followers. One right here from Lisa Taylor Saunders on our Facebook page, stating parts of St. James as well gotten on some of the rainfall. So too we have Rudijo stating yes, confirming that. Nelly Nemoy Temoy stating East Portland got rain whole day yesterday and started again earlier this morning. Dreamy RJ stating Port Antonio is getting just light drizzle intermittently. Even on our Instagram page, where the comments coming in, we have Rem_JA stating Portmore fully active. Is sure Sarah didn't turn back as the rain heavy. We also have Sure_Chin stating having little rain in Kingston. We have KK Sweets 2 stating heavy rain in Portmore. John Neller stating still raining here in Darlaston, Westmoreland. We also have Designer Sprite raining in St. Catherine. Tawana Burke 1993 gmail.com _ stating rain in St. Thomas. We also have Sexiana rain all night up to this minute in Hanover. Jonesy Love, I never expect this, I washed, with a crying emoji. So you didn't watch the video yesterday. The Mario Business stating light rain in Western St. Mary. Edwards Tanisha getting rain in South Manchester from morning. It's a no wash day. And we also have one last comment here from T John _live_laugh_love. Haven't seen the sun all day. Rain fell lightly for most of the day. So that indeed confirms the rainfall that was predicted for a portion of the island today. Let's see if we can get some of this to clear out on Sunday so that we can dry our clothing. But we can see that the latest still image, let us take a look at the very latest still image. Let's see what's happening across Jamaica right now. Alright, so the latest still image is as of 0035 UTC. So this just came out 10 minutes ago, considering that it's 10:45 right now. We can see that we still have some cloud cover across the island, especially across the northwest with those blues and greens. and we see that stretching all the way from the west to the east, but we see more in the way of grays than anything else. So I guess it's starting to dissipate in a sense. Nothing too deep, no yellows, oranges, reds, no blacks, grays or purples at all. So it's definitely starting to dwindle. Let's see if that persists, or let's see if we can actually get more rainfall tonight. Wouldn't be surprised if we get more, wouldn't be surprised if we get less. Alright, so unfortunately the Cuban Doppler radar images glitched out today. They glitched out at around 9:40 a.m. but we definitely saw that heavy rainfall that was being mentioned on our pages, highlighting the heavy rainfall across sections of Port Moore. We know Fuerte represents heavy rainfall, and we saw the yellows that represent the heavy rainfall across section of St. Catherine, spilling into section of southern Clarendon. We also saw some rainfall into section of northwestern St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, and St. James got some of the rainfall too, and so did section of St. Thomas and sections of St. Mary. And if we take a look at the very latest Guantanamo Bay Cuban naval radar imagery, we can make out the latest highlighting some amount of greens into the blues that represent some light to moderate rainfall between Jamaica, Cuba, and Haiti. Most of this rainfall, as we can see, pushing off towards the south and east, all courtesy of the upper level wind shear. For sure, nothing too drastic, just more on the light to moderate side. We can also make out most of the rainfall now to the south of the Cayman Islands. They were definitely getting in on some of it today, but most of it has pushed out towards the south of there as we speak. And we can still see some of the light rainfall pushing from west to east, coming into portions of Westmoreland, Hanover, and St. James right now. If we take a look at the temperatures right now, we can see that we're 25 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 25 degrees Celsius in Kingston. And by about 4 a.m. on Sunday, temperature should dip down to about 24 degrees Celsius in Kingston, remaining at 25 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay. If we take a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, this map from the GFS is valid for 18Z on Sunday when calculated. That's 1 p.m. on Sunday. And we can see Jamaica right here embedded in gray colors on the eastern half of the island, yellow colors on the left or the western side of the island. And we know the grays represent average temperatures, while the yellows represent at least 1 degree Celsius above normal temperatures. And we know the average temperatures for the month of November across Jamaica are about 88 degrees Fahrenheit. And we know that 88 degrees Fahrenheit when calculated to Celsius is about the same as 31.1 degrees Celsius. So we should be receiving anywhere from 31 to 32 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperature on Sunday. And you know the drill. When it comes to the heat, we have to try to beat it. And we can do that by dressing down. If you're going to church or wherever tomorrow, dress down, wear lightweight clothing, and use sunscreen. It states here also, check on others, including children, elderly people with medical conditions, and pets. Be cool, stay indoors and make use of fans and air conditioning. Avoid alcohol and caffeine as they can make dehydration worse. Limit non-essential strenuous activity during the hottest parts of the day. And I cannot stress enough how important it is to always drink lots of water throughout your day. You don't have to be thirsty to drink it. Drink it throughout the day. Put away the sugary drinks. Drink water instead. If you take a look at the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Sunday, we still see that much of North America, the Bahamas, the Caribbean, South America, Central America definitely in the clear. All the browns represent the Saharan dust right here across the main development region. And we see that it is it has definitely dwindled. It has definitely dwindled. It was a bit more widespread and a bit more robust earlier this week. We can see that as of today, as of 2 p.m. on Sunday, the forecast should have that majority of it should have dissipated, and we're indeed grateful that we're not seeing those dark shades of browns that we know can mean very hazy skies. Not to mention trigger some amount of respiratory illnesses, asthma, sinusitis in some persons. So we're indeed grateful that the Saharan dust is not doing too much at all in terms of affecting us. If we take a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, much of the same, just as yesterday. The highest waves wherever we have Sierra right here close to the Yucatan Peninsula, anywhere from 2 to maybe 5 meter wave height is expected. We can also see some high wave heights across the waters to the north of Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, and the eastern Caribbean. While this central to the eastern Caribbean Sea, getting in on those lighter shades of blues to darker shades of blues, that represents anywhere from 0.5 meter wave height all the way up to 1.5 meter wave height. And that's because the winds are going to be averaging anywhere from 5 to 10, maybe to 15 knots across much of the Caribbean. Across Jamaica, we see that northeasterly flow, so anywhere from 15, maybe gusting up to 25 knots. In the area where we have Sierra, we see that strong easterly flow or east-southeasterly flow into the Yucatan Peninsula, anywhere from, let's say, 15 all the way up to 30 knots. That means all the way up to tropical storm status in general. If we take a look at the close-up of Jamaica in terms of the wind, we can see that the setup, look at the setup, look at the pattern that we're in for. More of a northeasterly kind of pattern with the winds, averaging anywhere from 10 to 20 knots. And you know what usually takes place? We have that relief rainfall across sections of some northeastern parishes. Let's see if we can actually get in on some of that tomorrow. That's if it's not too dry, because the models are not really showing much rainfall, but it's definitely still possible for sections of St. Anne, St. Mary, and Portland. You know what I'm referring to. I'm referring to the relief rainfall. And the relief rainfall is basically when we have all of the winds on the north coast pushing into portions of northern Jamaica, and then all of these winds causes evaporation, all of these clouds basically rising and getting heavy, bringing some amount of rainfall to portions of Portland, St. Mary for sure. And we also see that the rainfall lingers into the peak of the hills, so anywhere we have the Blue Mountains, and then we usually have the rain shadow on the southern portions of the island, so we usually have less rainfall. So that's the pattern we're getting in on the northeasterly kind of flow across the island. And if we actually get some rainfall during the afternoon, it would be more so across sections of some southern parishes. Wherever we have the least amount of winds, that's where the air could pile up to bring us some isolated showers to section of maybe St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine, Kingston, St. Andrew. But don't hang your hat on it. Tomorrow, definitely going to be a dry day, definitely the opposite of moist, and it's going to be even drier throughout the work week. And with the upper level wind shear coming in more so from the north, it could definitely favor some of the afternoon rainfall across sections of some southern parishes. But let us take a look at what the rainfall forecast maps have in store. This map from the GFS and this map from the Euro are both showing 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And what do we see across the island in general? More whites than anything else. We don't have the blues that represent rainfall on both the Euro and the GFS malls. The Euro was trying to put some of the blues across some northern coastal areas. That's kind of believable given the northeasterly flow. We'll see if it actually wins compared to the GFS. As of right now, not really certain that it's going to be raining any at all. But by afternoon, look at what's taking place. We start to see some of the blues across sections of St. Anne, St. Mary, maybe section of Portland spilling into sections of St. Andrew and northern St. Thomas. The Euro a bit more robust and widespread with the rainfall, reaching all the way from the east to the west. We'll see exactly what unfolds with that. Either way, both accumulated precipitation forecast maps are showing rainfall somewhere across the island. Most of this should be taking place, if not now, maybe tonight into early morning. We see all the way up to 0.6 of an inch of rainfall across some spots on the Euro for all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Sunday. But boy, it seems to be more dry or more on the dry side than anything else. So don't be upset if you don't get any rainfall at all. You know, these maps aren't 100% set in stone. GFS a bit more reserved with the rainfall showing the most out west and out to the far south of us. We'll see exactly what unfolds. Either way, in terms of the rainfall that we usually receive throughout the year, this map from the, well, this bar graph at the top shows Kingston and how much rainfall that we usually receive throughout the year. And in November, we usually receive up to 50 millimeters of rainfall. That's 2 inches of rainfall. In Montego Bay, we usually receive up to close to 5 inches of rainfall. That's almost 125 millimeters of rainfall. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to find out what your specific parish usually receives throughout the year, you can visit weatherandclimate.com, and you can use this nice graphic right here that converts rainfall from inches to millimeters. We know that 1 inch of rainfall is about the same as 25 millimeters of rainfall. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus your attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So as stated, we have the clouds associated with the intertropical convergence zone right here across the southern main development region. We know that's where the air from the northern hemisphere meets the air from the southern hemisphere, and then we have a lot of rising air, lots of cloud showers and thunderstorms formulating. So don't look at this and say, oh, a tropical wave is coming or anything like that. Nothing like that at all. We can see lots of these showers or moisture pushing into portion of the windward islands, so they're definitely going to be in for some more rainfall. You can also see some rainfall right here to the south of Puerto Rico. You can see the clouds associated with the trough as well as the frontal systems across portion of the northern Caribbean in general, as well as the clouds associated with Sierra right there across Central America. If we take a look at the Doppler radar images of the northeastern Caribbean, let us see what's happening near Puerto Rico right now. Alright, some rainfall definitely affecting portion of eastern Puerto Rico. This is as of the latest Doppler radar image at 7:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So this just came out 6 minutes ago. We can definitely make out some rainfall in and around the US and British Virgin Islands, around St. Martin, St. Kitts and Nevis. If we load these images from about 2 p.m. today, we can definitely see that southern and eastern Puerto Rico definitely gotten on some moderate to heavy rainfall in the greens, yellows, oranges, reds. Section of eastern Dominican Republic, St. Martin, St. Kitts and Nevis, the British Virgin Islands, section of the US Virgin Islands, section of Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Bart's gotten on some amount of isolated showers. And if we take a look at the Barbados radar, we can make out that moist southeasterly flow. Look at the hit or miss isolated showers coming in. Some of this rainfall could definitely affect sections of Dominica tonight. It's already affecting sections of Guadeloupe. Some of this rainfall could also affect section of Martinique. It's already affecting section of St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Section of Grenada might get on some of the action, but not right now. And we can see some of the rainfall right there to the east of Tobago. Let's see if some of that can make it into Trinidad as well. It's already affecting section of Tobago even now. And even if we take a look at the weather view of Doppler radar images, we can see that rainfall that we highlighted to the south of the Cayman Islands. You can see some isolated showers to the east of Nicaragua, leftovers from Sierra. We can also see some rainfall across northwestern Venezuela, section of Colombia getting on the mix. And regarding where the rainfall is expected the most within the next 24 hours, this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Sunday. And we can make out some rainfall still in store out courtesy of Sierra for portions of the Yucatan Peninsula, Guatemala, Belize, especially in the dark reds, purples, pinks. That represents 2 to 4 inches of rainfall still to come. Section of Honduras, El Salvador, Western Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia, Western Venezuela, Southern Venezuela, Northern Venezuela, section of the ABC Islands, coastal areas of Guyana, Suriname and French Guyana. We can also make out some rainfall for Trinidad and Tobago, Grenada, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Barbados, sections of St. Lucia, Martinique, Dominica, Guadeloupe, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Martin, Anguilla, St. Bart's, the US and British Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, Haiti, the Dominican Republic right here. And we see that if we look northward, not much is taking place because right behind that frontal system, definitely drier conditions. So northern Hispaniola or Cuba, the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos and Florida definitely going to be experiencing drier conditions. And we know that when both maps from the Euro and the GFS are in consensus like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.